There were 3 brothers who lived in a small village at the foot of a great forest. The eldest was very clever and always thought himself to be the most capable. The middle brother was very strong and believed his physical strength made him the best. The youngest brother, on the other hand, was very kind and always put the needs of others before his own. One day, their father asked them to go into the forest to cut wood for the winter. The eldest brother said, "I will cut the most wood, for I am the cleverest." The middle brother boasted, "I will cut the biggest tree, for I am the strongest." But the youngest brother simply said, "I will help anyone who needs it, for that is what kindness is all about." And with that, the 3 brothers set off into the forest, each with their own intentions and goals. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, the eldest brother began to complain about the hardness of the work. "This is beneath me," he said. "I should be doing something more important, like governing the village." The middle brother laughed at him, saying, "You think you're too good for this work? Ha! I'll show you what real strength looks like." And with that, he began to chop down a massive tree, grunting and sweating with effort. Meanwhile, the youngest brother worked quietly, his axe striking true and steady, his heart full of joy and contentment. Just then, an old man appeared from behind a nearby bush. He was dressed in tattered robes and had a long white beard that reached down to his waist. He looked at the brothers with wise eyes and said, "Ah, I see 3 different approaches to life. Which one will lead to true success?" The old man's words struck a chord in the brothers. The eldest brother scoffed, "Success comes from intelligence and strategy, not from hard work and kindness." The middle brother grinned, "No, no. Success comes from strength and bravery." But the youngest brother looked up at the old man with curiosity. "What do you mean, sir? What is true success?" The old man smiled, his eyes twinkling. "Ah, my young friend, true success is not about achieving greatness, but about being great in the hearts of others. It is about kindness, compassion, and generosity. But I see you are all hungry and thirsty. Come, let us sit and eat together, and I will tell you a story." And with that, the old man pulled out a small basket of food and a flask of water, and they all sat down together under the shade of a tree. As they ate and drank together, the old man told them a story about a great king who had once ruled over the land. The king was powerful and wise, but he was also kind and just. He loved his people and wanted to make their lives better. So, he built schools and hospitals, and he made sure everyone had enough food to eat. But the king's greatest achievement was his ability to listen to his people's problems and help them solve them. He would sit under a tree in the village square, and anyone who needed advice or guidance could come to him. The old man looked at the brothers and said, "That king was truly successful, not because of his power or wealth, but because of his kindness and compassion." The eldest brother scoffed, "That's all well and good, but what about the king's achievements? Didn't they matter? The old man smiled. "Ah, my dear boy, the king's achievements were important, but they were nothing without the love and respect of his people." The middle brother, who had been quietly listening to the story, suddenly spoke up. "I don't get it," he said. "If the king was so great, why didn't he use his strength to conquer more lands and become even more powerful?" The old man's smile faded, and he looked at the middle brother with a serious expression. "Ah, my dear boy," he said, "power and strength are not the only measures of greatness. In fact, they can often lead to destruction and suffering. The king's greatness came from his ability to listen, to understand, and to help. That is true strength." The youngest brother nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I see," he said. "So, true success is not about achieving greatness, but about being great in the hearts of others." The old man's face lit up with a warm smile. "Exactly, my young friend," he said. "You have a wise heart." Just then, the old man's eyes clouded over, and he looked at the brothers with a serious expression. "But beware, my young friends," he said. "Not everyone seeks greatness of heart. Some seek only power and wealth, and they will stop at nothing to get it." The eldest brother snorted, "Ha! I'm not afraid of anyone. I can outsmart them all." But the middle brother looked concerned. "What do you mean? Who are these people?" The old man's eyes seemed to bore into their souls. "They are the ones who seek to destroy all that is good. They are the ones who will try to tempt you away from the path of kindness and compassion." The youngest brother felt a shiver run down his spine. "But we won't let them, will we?" he said, looking at his brothers. The old man nodded. "I hope not, my dear boys. I hope not." The old man's words struck a chord in the brothers. They knew that they had to be careful, but they didn't know what dangers lay ahead. The eldest brother, still confident in his own abilities, scoffed at the idea of anyone tempting him away from his path. But the middle brother looked concerned, his brow furrowed in thought. He knew that he wasn't as strong as he thought, and the idea of someone manipulating him made him uneasy. The youngest brother, on the other hand, felt a sense of determination rising up within him. He knew that he had to stay true to himself, no matter what challenges lay ahead. As they finished their meal, the old man stood up, his eyes shining with a deep wisdom. "Remember, my young friends," he said, "the path to true success is not an easy one. You will face many challenges, many temptations. But stay true to yourselves, and always remember the power of kindness and compassion." And with that, he disappeared into the forest, leaving the brothers to ponder his words. They sat in silence for a long time, each lost in their own thoughts. The eldest brother was still confident, but the middle brother was beginning to doubt himself. And the youngest brother was filled with a sense of purpose, a determination to stay true to himself no matter what lay ahead. Little did they know, their journey was just beginning, and the challenges they would face would test their resolve in ways they never thought possible. As they sat in silence, the forest around them began to grow darker. The trees seemed to loom over them, casting long shadows on the ground. The eldest brother stood up, his confidence returning. "Come on, brothers," he said. "We have to get back to the village. We can't waste any more time here." But the middle brother hesitated, his eyes fixed on the forest floor. "I don't know," he said. "I feel like we're being watched." The youngest brother nodded in agreement. "I feel it too," he said. "Let's be careful." But the eldest brother just laughed. "You're both being ridiculous," he said. "There's nothing to be afraid of." And with that, he turned and walked off into the forest, his brothers following reluctantly behind. As they walked, the darkness grew thicker, like a fog that surrounded them. The middle brother stumbled, his foot catching on a hidden root. "Wait!" he cried out, but the eldest brother just kept walking. "Keep up!" he called back. The youngest brother rushed to his brother's side, helping him up. "We have to stick together," he said. "We can't let him go off on his own." But the middle brother just shook his head. "I don't know," he said. "I feel like we're walking into a trap." As they continued on their journey, the darkness grew thicker, until they could barely see their hands in front of their faces. The eldest brother pushed on, his confidence undeterred, but the middle brother and the youngest brother struggled to keep up. They stumbled and staggered, their hearts pounding in their chests. Suddenly, the eldest brother stopped in his tracks. "What's that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The middle brother and the youngest brother peered into the darkness and saw a faint light in the distance. "It looks like a castle," the middle brother whispered back, "but it's surrounded by a moat of fire." The youngest brother's heart skipped a beat. "How are we going to get across?" he asked. But the eldest brother just grinned. "Leave that to me," he said. And with that, he stepped forward into the darkness. As they approached the castle, the fire grew higher, the flames licking at their faces. The middle brother and the youngest brother hesitated, but the eldest brother just laughed. "Don't worry, brothers," he said. "I've got a plan." And with that, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small vial of liquid. "This will protect us from the flames," he said. But the middle brother and the youngest brother exchanged a skeptical look. "Are you sure this will work?" the middle brother asked. But the eldest brother just grinned. "Trust me," he said. And with that, he stepped forward into the fire. The flames engulfed them, but the liquid in the vial seemed to work, protecting them from the heat. They made their way across the moat, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they reached the other side, they saw a figure standing in the shadows. It was the old man from the forest, his eyes gleaming with a knowing light. "Well done, brothers," he said. "You have passed the test." The eldest brother stepped forward, his confidence restored. "What test?" he asked. The old man smiled. "The test of kindness, compassion, and wisdom. You have shown that you possess these qualities, and so you shall be rewarded." And with that, he waved his hand, and the castle gates swung open. Inside, they found a treasure trove of gold and jewels, but more importantly, they found the love and respect of the people. The eldest brother realized that true success is not about achieving greatness, but about being great in the hearts of others. The middle brother learned that strength and bravery are not just about physical power, but about standing up for what is right. And the youngest brother understood that kindness and compassion can conquer even the greatest challenges. And so, they lived happily ever after, ruling the kingdom with wisdom and grace.